of transmutation, there's a lot of transition, there's a lot of new beginnings from old spaces. But when I say that, it's the energy of bringing back from something in the past right back on track. But when they relate this, it's they're this energy is huge because there's a split in the collective. So bear with me here as I get through everybody in their timeline shifts and where they're at. Okay, so I'm starting here at the baseline and we're going to work our way up in frequency. So just bear with me, no disrespect, just hold on tight. If it doesn't make sense yet, it'll make sense soon. And it'll also tell you where you've been and where you're headed and what you're in. So what they are showing you right now, this is why a lot of mirroring has been going on, a lot of Two of Swords, a lot of you thinking it's this way or this way, okay? Because you're all looking for something new, right? Something new, okay? But the catalyst to the new is behind you. Hear me out. The catalyst to the new is behind you. Now, I'm not talking about the pain. I'm not talking about the suffering. I'm not talking about the places in those traumas that you've gone through or healed, okay? What I'm talking about is a transgression of energy that you can see in different ways how certain things have played out in your life in the same way, but with different attributes. So what they show is like, yes, you're looking for the new, but how this is reflective to you is they're talking about the sequence of things that have happened to you in this lifetime. And for you to do a review, you're going to do a redo. So a lot of you are reawakening to the gifts and the abilities that you had that you've been mistaking your entire life on the path that you thought that you were to be in. But in retrospect, you are looking behind you and bringing some childhood dream to the forefront and through the seams, but with new energy, new mindset, new ways, because you've been taught a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge along your pathway. It's not old behaviors or old thought patterns that they're talking about here. It's about something from the past that you're bringing back that's realigning you with your destiny at last, is what they're saying here. It's not a mindset. It's not oh, that was terribly traumatic. Although the event or the clapback might have been traumatic, it was the boom of the forceful event that occurred in some type of series. Now, a lot of you come to me and you tell me that you had dreams as a child, or you felt energies and you saw angels and you conversed, and what you thought was make-believe because of the people around you that told you it was make-believe, it's reawakening inside of you. And this is the catalyst to your wounded warrior in spirituality that you're going to do. And this is why Mars is in retrograde and you're seeking what it is that's in alignment for you. But yet it's always been behind you, trying to push you forward into the destiny. But until you slow down retrospectively to take the time to look around you and behind you, little did you know it was going to be the past that haunted you. From your past comes your pain, which becomes your power, which becomes your passion. Whether you were somebody as a child that went through X, Y, and Z, it doesn't always mean that you're going to respectively work with children in that way. What if it means that you're going to have a connection with children, that you're going to be able to heal them because you're going to be able to understand them? Not just because you can read energy, but you've been in their shoes too. See, you can't teach or heal anything that you have not been through, that you do not have an understanding, overstanding, and understanding of. This is why you're like, oh, I want to heal, I want to help, I want to teach, I want to blah, 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 and it's all about the children. Because it's the child inside of you that's healing through what you are going to do. It's the last fear. Your first fear is your last fear. This is why they want you to look in your rear. Your first fear is your last that you are going to face to step into alignment and take your place. They're not talking about superficial. They're talking about a very deep level of soul retrieval. is what they're saying here. Although the soul retrieval has always been there, it's not been lit inside of you because you couldn't see it. Because you're thinking that it's something truly 110% new. No, it's something old that you're bringing from the past, but the way that it's new is because of the new perspective, the new you, the new energy, the new understanding, and overstanding as to the spiritual game that was being played upon you. So you can help the people that don't understand the second sequel. We're in between two timelines. Some of you are healing inner child wounds. The Chiron, the wounded warrior. Mars is in retrograde. That's the fourth house. It's the emotions, the child. It's the child that needs to know that it's okay, because it's the child that's going, are you sure? You're sure? And the adult self is like, yeah, what are you talking about? We've already been here. We've already dealt with this. Yeah, your adult self has healed and dealt with those traumas. But guess what? Guess what doesn't trust you? Your inner child. That's a piece of you. And once you get your inner child to trust you, which is believing in you again, not just what you're perceiving, but what you're believing in again, then you're in alignment for the new. This is why you've got to get up and through the fears and the insecurities, because you've done it already on a human adult level. But the inner child's going, what about me? What about me? What about me? And this is why so many people are having a hard time getting out of the mirror in the box in which they put themselves in. Because it's the little piece that doesn't trust you. Think about your first wound as a child. Was trust. You didn't trust the people around you. They taught you not to trust yourself and what you were feeling and what you were hearing and what you were dealing with and whatever that was. Trust. The inner child needs to understand that the adult in you is in alignment for what you're about to do. And that was the first thing that was broken inside of you, is the trust. That the people around you would believe in you and that you knew exactly what was going on inside of you, but yet nobody could hear you. The trust of a child is what's coming through, which is inside of you. So therefore, I trust myself before I trust a higher power. I trust myself before I trust a higher power. Although the higher power, the creator, the divine, helped me get to this space in due time, it was me and the team around me that got me there. So I trust me and I believe in me, because I'm the one that's lived through the experiences to have the knowledge and the wisdom to represent it. I thank the divine. I'm grateful to the divine and the support of a lifetime. But the truest of trust is here, because I've done it. The divine didn't do it. It helped me do it, but I did it. That's why they're so proud of you when you do it, because they actually look up to you. Your spirit team isn't physically here doing the physical 3D work. We are. They're the support. They're the table to the cards. The cards are you. The cards are the choices you make. The cards are the energies that are available to you for your taking. The divine spirit, that's your table. With all due respect, I understand what you're saying, because in order to believe in you, the ego mind has to believe in something else first until you get through. So I understand and I see where you're at, and I wholeheartedly respect it, 110%. But the ego mind is always going to try to believe in something outside of you. Why? Because it's cunning, it's baffling, it's powerful. Part of the game. Because if anything can get you not to believe in you, it's going to make you second guess the blueprint and the divine that's already inside of you. That's what your gut is. That's how you survived this. That's how you survived that. That's how you got through all of it. It's not ego. It's understanding. So we're going to get back on track. So the past in which you have been through is leading you to exactly what you're going to do. But everybody's like, where am I going? It's all new. It's all new. The energy is new. You are new. The perspective is new. The learning, the knowledge, the wisdom, the growth is new. But what you're connecting to and what you're bringing back from the past, that's not new. It's always been there. It's always been inside of you. But if everything could be used against you to not believe in you, to not trust you, which is the deepest piece of the inner child in the solar plexus there, then you wouldn't have the connection. And that's why the mind gets you to second guess it in apprehension. Because even when you don't want to do something, how many times have you gone against your gut and did it anyway? Because you started to manipulate your own mind because of the guilt from a past time. The spiritual life is not a theory. You have to live it. Because the war is on your mind and the prize is your soul. Period. End of story. Look, I split the deck. Pluto, rebirth. Didn't Pluto just come out of retrograde not too long ago? Yeah. The inner child is connecting to the new wisdom, right? You've already connected the higher Dantians. You've already connected the root, right? But what you forgot was the deepest part of you. You're already connected to the cosmos. You're already connected to Gaia. Your root is already grounded. You did that. You did all that work. Nobody can take that from you. Nobody can take what you've worked for inside of you, which is the deepest level of understanding through and through. But what you forgot is where it started. Like Peter Pan. Peter Pan forgot where it started. Peter Pan had to re-remember. Peter Pan had to re-remember the blueprint within him to believe in himself again. But the ego will always try to get you to feed it by you believing in something outside of you so that it will make you question you. So that you no longer know the truest of you. To thy own self be true. Understand thyself. Once you master thyself and you understand why you do what you do, how you do what you do, on a physical 3D level, but a spiritual level, nothing can master you any longer. You can no longer be a puppet on a string because you've mastered you. So then the reason why the pot calls the kettle black is because it can see it inside of it. So then therefore you are aware of you. You are aware of all things. It's the truest of alchemists. Because if you already are aware of it within yourself, then you're aware of it within everything else and everyone else. So when they're being used as windows, or when you know what's completely going on around you or with the collective or with somebody's energy on a subconscious level, it's because yours was there too. Not because you're better than them, not just because they can hear and see, but because they understand you, because they were you at one point in time in their evolution. That's why some are mentors. That's why some are learning. That's why some do this, some do that. Some are teachers because they have the blueprints as to what's going on. Not just on a human level, emotional, physical level, but a spiritual, etherical level. Not only can they read the etherical, all overall, the Hall of Records is what I call it. The Hall of Records, right? And then off of that Hall of Records, just to me, it shows up for everybody differently. But just to me, everybody then has their own Akash that's attached to that Hall of Records, which is where you've been, where your soul's been, right? The etherical Hall of Records, the way I see it, is just the overall of humanity and life in existence and energy, period. And it's just the way that I've always seen it. So it's like you tap in, you're rereading the blueprint. Look, everybody's digesting this shit in the collective. Figuring out that your life's never been misled, only misread, and that you were misrepresented. Look, the harvest, though. The wheat. Once you know thyself, you can't be beat. Period. Because you no longer are beating yourself. You can't lie to yourself. So you can't beat yourself. So this is why you have to take accountability in everything. This is why people are like, I can't lie anymore. It's like liar, liar. Yep. Sat Nam. I am truth. They're like, still, they're all trying to digest this. Like, you just came out the fucking closet. Bam. And I was like, that's what I do here. We come in, we mic drop, we leave a little bit, we let you digest, we come back. You know, that's just what we do here. We open up things, we drop light codes, we get you to think in other ways, right? Because we challenge the mind to pull it out of the cycle that it's in. So when people come into contact with me, we drop light codes, we drop activations. Look, we were talking about healing the Chiron earlier. You cannot make this up. So the inner child is what you're healing right now to connect to redo something in you. You know, this is one thing that I've always, like, it's driven me nuts within the collective. And this is just an own personal pet peeve that I have as a psychic, okay? Or whatever you want to call me, you know, whatever it is. But literally, this is my pet peeve. When people would be like, oh, you got to connect with your inner child. They're like, oh, you need to go color. You need to go paint. You need to connect with nature. You need to go frolic. And I'm like, that always left me disdain. Because I knew that that was just a first level of trying to tap back into reawakening the inner child. That's the sleeping dragon. The sleeping dragon is the inner child. It's been asleep for a really long time, ever since you were about 7, 8 years old, because you were pulled away from that spiritual timeline. Not only because the delta waves you no longer ran on or ran with, but because of everything in the physical existence that told you it wasn't real, or you weren't right, and then all the traumas and all this, that, and the other. The biggest wound for the collective to heal is trust and belief in thyself. To thy own self be true, and to know thyself, and understand thyself, and understand thyself. Healing the Chiron, the inner child, getting the inner child to believe. So, to me, painting, coloring, dancing, yeah, that moves energy, that moves chi, that's wonderful, and that's great. That is the opening of the doorway to reawakening the magic and the belief of things that you can't necessarily see, but you can feel, you can't hear. You're being able to see through the veil again in which you were taken away from. For whatever reason, I didn't pull away from that veil. I don't know. I don't have answers for that. Okay? But what I do know is that it's always been intact. It's been the sleeping dragon inside of you. Something from the past, the inner child wound, the magic the angels, the angels, the demons, the fairies, those things that they're showing me that you used to connect with, how you connect with them, the interstellar beings, how you connect with them now is way differently than you did when you were a child. How you heal. Everybody's like, I want to heal, I want to be a healer, I'm a healer, I'm a healer. And I'm like, yeah. But what you got to get to is how. How do you want to heal people? How do you allow that energy to connect to you? How do you allow that energy to move through you? Right? Okay? And that is the expression of the inner child moving through you in direction. How? How do you connect with light language? Everything is light language. It's all light. It's the energy behind it. Whether you use sigil magic, whether you move your hands, whether you speak it, it's all light language, but the energy of man has put negative energy upon words to mess with the frequency of what things mean, to distort the reality in between the seams. You got to do more than feel it to heal it. You got to live it. You got to eat it. You got to breathe it. You got to sleep it. You got to understand it. And that is a process. And people want to hurry up the process. But what they're showing me right now is the the adult seven chakras are intact and in alignment. But what you're missing is that deeper seated piece of the soul. So in a sense, okay, in shamanic practice, we call that soul retrieval, right? I like to call it soul restoration because it's already been intact. It's just been sleeping inside of you. So we reawaken that piece. This is why you're revisiting and retrospectively seeking things that happened to you from that childhood space that you connected to, that you were pulled away from. So it's a piece of that reality coming into the new, but the way that it's thought about, how all those things, that is what no longer can last, the perception. But now you've healed that wound as an adult from the adult space. But the inner child is going, wait, are you sure we trust this? Wait, what about me? What about me? Because it's the last piece of you to trust and believe in what's going on inside of you and around you, because it was the piece that was forgotten about, because it was the piece that you had to shut out to grow up so fast, to take care of family members because of this trauma, because of that, because of whatever, right? So you had to put that piece of you on the back burner in this sense. Now it's being reawoken inside of you. Thank you. So this is why you're going through the inner child space. But it's not to bring the trauma up now, because that's what's trying to get you pulled back into that version in the mental space. It's to go, okay, how do I want to identify with this? How do I heal? How do I deeper that connection to what I've seen, what I feel, what I remember from being a child in those times that I was connecting to these things? How does that light language move through me? Is it through sigils? Is it through elemental work, working with the elements? Is it through speaking it? Okay, because people have painted light language to be one dynamic and one thing. Whether it's spoken, whether it's hand and energy, it's all energy, right? It's all energy. It's just how you move the energy and how the moving of the energy moves through you with what you connect to, not only from a 3D grounded level, but from an etherical level. And so that is what is being pulled in and grounded. So in order for all of that to be awoken, which is a piece of the sleeping dragon inside of you, the pain that's turned into your power, which is turned into your passion, So that's where the collective is at. They're showing me that on a quantum level, in the separation of timelines, okay, some people are going through that inner child healing of the wound and putting those puzzle pieces together of what they're in alignment for with their destiny. It's all putting you in more of an alignment with your destiny, because you're going to be able to turn around and go, oh shit, that's it. That was that simple. But you couldn't see it because of all the other noise and all the other distractions, not only internally, but externally. That's one of the reasons that they've been telling you the Four of Swords: rest, receive, recuperate, da 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 da, heal, blah 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 blah. So the inner child can show you what it's trying to connect to put you in alignment with your identity and your destiny that you've contracted to do. And some of you are on new assignments because some of you have contracted to do two things at once. That's okay too. But what they're showing me is the collective then is healing that. But then we've got others that have already shifted through that are in the time frame of already being in alignment and things being surreal, and them seeing all of these things that they have manifested for almost a childhood, a decade. Like when we talk about energy and you guys breaking 10-year cycles, 12-year cycles, 5-year cycles, you have to go back to that 10-year, 12-year cycle and go all the way back and go, okay, as a child, in a sense, where was I at? Because you didn't have the emotional mindset that you do now. You didn't have the mental ability to see the clarity between these things humanly, but also spiritually. That wasn't even thought in your head. So in that embracement, that's what's being shed. Oh my God, I just split the deck again, and it's the pinnacle, the midhaven. You're at the pinnacle, the Chiron, the wounded warrior. This is the pinnacle of the transition. Thank you. Hold on a second. I gotta see if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. Hold on. All right. So you're at the pinnacle. Okay. So that's the timeline shift that they're saying. Okay. But for some of you that have shifted to that space where you're seeing it's like things are really surreal. You can not only feel the energy any longer, but you can see it because it's happening in your reality. Okay. Sorry, my nose is itching like crazy. That's them. Excuse me. Can you not do that? Like, I love you. Anything else but that. You know that's my biggest pet peeve. I know that's why you do it. I know, but seriously, bro. All right. For some of you that have already shifted and you see that and you're seeing it happen in your experience right now, they're showing me that it's not a sidetrack, but it doesn't look like it's it. You're kind of going here and then here. So bear with them as they shift the energy, as they be the table and you're the cards. Allow them to move the table so that the cards shift with where the table shifts. For whatever reason, I needed to say that because those of you that are in the middle of healing that Chiron and that wounded warrior, when you shift to that timeline of what I'm speaking about now, and you're not just feeling the manifestations, you're not just feeling the blessings, you're seeing them happen in your life for real. You're going to know the deal, because what they're showing me is spirit is shifting the table and then boom. Okay. So when you're in the new timeline, when you've got the new book, the new folded map in hands, and those things are physically happening to you in this 3D, you're going to get shifted here. It's going to look like this, But then, wham, whatever that is, that last shift, because it's almost like they're showing me that it's like a triangular effect energetically. Table's here, the table shifts here, and then it comes back up to the top, which is the pinnacle, the midhaven. So what this is also telling me astrologically is this has to do with your contract, with what you came here to do, your north node, your pinnacle, your alignment. That's the two different separations in the timeline shift of the collective. That's the new direction. You think it's this, right? When you get shifted, this is what they're showing me. When you get shifted with the table, because the cards are going to go with the table when it shifts, all right? When the table shifts, you think this is it. Little did you know, it's all of it. And they wanted me to spread out the deck for you to see. So little did you know, it's here, like the shift is here, and then boom. For those of you that are waiting on the shift, the quantum is near. I'm wondering, Jay, if this is why they gave me the date of the 27th, right before.
2 days.
Is that 2 days before the new moon?
Yeah, it's the new moon is November 1st.
November 1st. Okay, so never mind.
If I'm not mistaken.
So they just said it's near, and they showed me the date again of the 27th. October 27th was shown to me through a dream. That's hilarious. Funny. That's neither here nor there. But anyway, it was shown to me through a dream. Okay? How I saw it is the funny thing. We won't get into that. Okay? Because now I get it. See? Haha, funny. All right. But anyway, it was shown to me through a dream, and it's been coming up like, and then they just referenced it again. So for those of you, that's where the fun begins. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Ethel. Thank you, Sophie. You thank the one that gave him a message that you heard it from directly, like the horse's mouth. Yeah, the horse's mouth. Yes, sir. And then the other ones are like, what about me? What about me? And you can hear them like as they stand farther back, you know, and they're like, what about me? What about me? Can't forget about any one of them, right? All right, here we go. Communication is key. Symbiosis. So you're in symbiosis with what it is that you need. It just doesn't look like that. Retrospectively speaking. The third house. It's all about communication right now. Communication with thyself. This goes back to the message that I got yesterday is the rewriting of your contract. Oh, geez, this is the other puzzle piece to that message. All right, man. Sometimes this happens. You got to hear me out. So there was a video 2 days ago, I think, that it was about the new contract that you have. You're writing that contract in existence now as you speak it, as you seek it, as you, like, a lot of you are like, F that contract. I'm done with that. I'm tired. And then there was a new contract that was drawn up. And that's the new contract is what they're showing me that's coming up. The communication is key. The communication that you're receiving and that you perceive is not what it seems to be. Symbiosis. So like sometimes when they show me timelines, okay, if you can imagine CDs from an old jukebox, all right? Well, it wasn't really like that. It was records and all that kind of cool stuff. All right, we won't talk about that. Yeah, we won't talk about. Thanks, Chief. You dick. We won't talk about how old you are. Fuck you, man. Natives, man, they always got to be slick as shit. So when they show me the timelines, they're like this, okay? Now, they look like this. They look like CDs that you put together to me, right? But what they're showing me is sometimes timelines are like this, okay? Now, thank you, Sophie. And then you've got like, you've had to catch up with this one. I don't know why. You've had to catch up with this one. It's here. It's here. So you're in symbiosis with the timeline now. You can feel the energy. You're in symbiosis with the timeline of the energy that you're going to shift to. Now, why are you taking me back to the 27th? Again. The 27th. Again. Your intuition's been telling you this. Like some of you have felt this so deeply in your bones you want to throw up. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh. That's not nice. But some of you have felt this shift so deeply in your bones it's made you want to throw up. And I'm not just talking about nauseousness. It's the real over like, right? Coming into existence. Thank you. Sophie goes, on track, Stella. Okay. So the message of you writing out your new contract, you're in symbiosis with. See, she gets me back on track. Thank you, Sophie. So it relates to the message the other day when I saw and when I was told people have written a new contract, okay? And that new contract that you've written is part of the table shifting and the sidestep. You're getting sick to your stomach because of the quick shift here and the quick shift here. The quick shift here and the quick shift here. But it's also coming through like a gut punch because it's the inner child digressing and coming up front. Now, she's like, yes, Stella, the quantum shift. She's so cute. She's so fucking cute. Okay. When they are told me that you're writing your new contract, it was because you really watch what you speak. There were a lot of you that had mucus in your throat or phlegm in your throat, and you were like, and you were like, clearing your throat. It was because the inner child was coming up, but it was the regurgitation of what was stuck in the soul, the restoration. Thank you. Thank you, Sophie. So the old contract you wrote and you're like, no, source, no, council. If I'm that powerful to write my destiny, because this is what I'm being told, we write it, rewrite it, rewrite it, we speak it, we write it, we speak it, we write it, we speak it. Why can't I change the things that I don't agree with because of the things that have happened to me? This is what she's showing me, man. This is why a lot of you went to Astro and went to council too, is to rewrite your contract. So they were kind of like, yeah, sure. What is it that you want? Because they're in support of it. However the light comes in and gets done, that's the main objective. So you rewrote it. They signed off on it. But the agreement was that whatever you were bringing to the forefront was not for you. It was all for the collective. But you were going to be in love with it. It was a piece from that childhood wound. But what you're doing now is the human part of you is not just etherically pulling it through. you're speaking it or you're writing it into existence now. And this is why manifestations are happening like this, is what they're showing me, because the light is so permeable now to the planet. There's not the firmament that oh shit, Jay,
I'm listening.
the time-space continuum has been ripped away. So the false identity as a collective, as a whole, of the man-made construct of time was finally ripped away from underneath Gaia, so the energetic energies could actually fully hit her field, hit her magnetic field, hit the resonance, go through the middle of her existence, down through and under her tritosphere completely. But they had to rip the construct of time away from collective, which was blocking the symbiosis, oh shit, of Gaia, to fully be able to produce the abundancies that were coming through for the collective because of the 400-year curse.
Wow.
So going back to all the messages from 6 months ago and 8 months ago now, because see, time don't mean shit to me, so I'm all fucked up when it comes to time. So it was 6 to 8 months ago, or in that timeline, that I got message about the time-space continuum being ripped away.
I guess that's why we saw the separation of the planets.
That's why we saw the separation of the planets.
So that's
And
happening.
so the filter through is what the receiving is, but you've got to get through the construct of the inner child connecting back to you. And now, because of Gaia's able to fully reciprocate through her tritosphere of energy, okay, Gaia, a lot of you are visual. I get it. I'm a psychic. I'm a seer. I get it. I see it all. Sometimes I don't know things till I know things with you guys, okay? So till it's time to call, till they bring it up. So I'm digressing this with you guys, okay? I mean, I've been putting this puzzle piece together for a while, but now I'm fully digressing it. All right, Gaia. Time-space continuum underneath Gaia is the top of the acorn. Okay? Pulled away. Now there's no block. Now the energy of the universe and Gaia can fully reciprocate to you. That's why there were so many messages about the energy finally being reciprocated. Balance, Libra, all of that. Pluto had to hit retrograde. The shadow had to be removed, which was the last part of the firmament within you. And now, when you hit that timeline, boom, 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 boom. Everything is so surreal because of the fact is that everything's happening to you in symbiosis for you to shift. But your intuition has been telling you this, but they're going back to the 27th for a lot of you, and that's why you're going, because it's the inner child that's being regurgitated, that's hitting that pocket of energy that has to shift. That's the 27th, but the new moon doesn't come through. And I don't know what's in alignment that day. I haven't looked at the astrology.
The moon's in Virgo on the 27th.
Okay, so the moon will be in Virgo, but it's not new. The new moon doesn't start till November 3rd, but I don't know what's in alignment that day. There's got to be some type of planetary structure as well. Maybe it's the sun that I don't know there, but there is an energetic quantum shift, the 27th, what they're speaking of, where a lot of you are going to shift because that time-space continuum being ripped away, and you were writing your destiny. When you got to that new shift, you were rewriting your contract, which was writing it verbatim as you We're in that new timeline shift. Because you were speaking it. That's why it was so important about watching what you spoke. I can't. I won't. I don't. I know. Because every time you say, I know, then you're telling the universe that you already know everything. So why the hell is it going to bring you anything anyway? Because you already know everything. That's what you're telling it. So now the universe can work in symbiosis with your energy and help you shift into alignment of your destiny once you remove and connect the two of that inner child wound. Because you're already connected to the cosmos, you're already connected to the ether, you're already connected to the divine, you're already connected to your team. But what you're not connected to is the trust and the deepest seated belief inside of you of your inner child. And your inner child's going, are you sure? Am I supposed to? It's the last one to believe you because it was the first one not to believe you because of what everybody else tried to tell you was not going on. So think about it. It was the first wound you had as a child was not to trust. Choo choo. But also not to trust you to second guess yourself. And that's the deepest level. I love you too. Thank you. But it's belief. The inner child has to believe that the adult you has the knowledge, the wisdom, the feeling, the self as a whole. We're talking about the inner chakra system, the outer chakra system, the alignment of everything, the mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit. Because now the spirit that you came here to contract to be this lifetime, to merge with your soul as you transcend, because that's the new imprint. The new imprint is the spirit that tries to go out and figure it all out at night. Why? Because it's the curious one. It's the one who wants to know why. It's got to figure it all out. It's the inner child. The inner child has to be safe. So you come here as that young child spirit, not knowing what to do, not knowing what game to play, not knowing who you are. And it's got to remember the soul's imprint and all the frequencies that it's been and its specific blueprint. So when you remember it, your inner child goes, oh, that's it. And it's safe. Your spirit is the new imprint that you contracted here to be, but you're changing your physical contract, which reflects the spiritual contract that you originally wrote. But what you're doing is you're speaking it in place now. You're writing it now. That's why there was so much emphasis on the energy being able to reciprocate now, because of the timeline collapse that's been removed away from Gaia, which was the block of the energy of the universe and Gaia being able to receive and give back to you because of what you do, what you have done, what you came here to contract to do. Because now it's awoken inside of you. So now the inner child has to believe. But how it plays out in this physical reality is different for each and every one of you based upon the contract that you have written into the new. I'm cool. I'm letting that old fucking contract go. I'm cool. It's going. Bye. Because that old contract and that old timeline doesn't make any sense to me. I'm cool. I'm not going to honor my initial contract that I came here because I'm out of that timeline. I'm out of that space. I'm out of that. I've learned everything that I needed to learn, so my contract needed to be rewritten so that I could jump into the new. You are the ending and the beginning. And yes, those things are great that you have from your past, but that contract of the trauma and the guilt and the shame and the drama and the inner child wounds is what you have to seal to move on to the new. So that's why the inner child wound with Mars in retrograde is hitting now, for you to digest the past, but have that new perspective and understanding of what you're reconnecting with was the inner child piece that was taught not to believe in you, taught not to trust you. You're healing the Chiron, the merger of now the two. Now see, the physical body of you, the physical body of you already connected with source and the divine, right? But your internal physical body didn't reconnect with the inner child you, the deepest of wound, which was your first wound. And that's what you're healing now. Yes, correct. And this is why so many have said it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a fucking thing of chapstick. If you feel like you need to throw it away, throw it away. It doesn't matter. It can be clothes, it can be books, it can be old ass journals that you don't even use. It doesn't matter. Just get rid of it. Because there's a trauma attached to it. You have healed that as the adult self, the mind. That's why the game has been played so much, and you've like, you know the adult self knows, but you got to get the inner child to know. So you got to get rid of things that don't connect with you in those ways and in that timeline. And it's the inner child space and wound for you to shift. But this is a dream. Look, Scorpio, investigate. And they're showing me that Scorpio representation represents your south node. I don't know why, but you're merging the south node with the north node too, in conjunction with the Mars in retrograde, which is the inner child wound. It's the emotions of the inner child, the fourth house. It's the emotions of the inner child. So your first fear is the last fear that you have to complete to step into that new destiny. So you have to investigate what that was. Was your first fear a spirit? Was your first fear a human person? What was your first fear? Well, in my first fear, mine was a demon, and I was taught not to believe myself. So that had to be all healed, and I had to face a lot of those things. Basically, in my reality, right? So that I could literally know how to handle them, in which mishandled me, so that I could handle those things appropriately, with respect, with dignity, with understanding, with love, rather than the force that it tried to reckon upon me. Because I have the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding, the overstanding of what it is. So I had to face it in multiple ways, in multiple places, not only through other people or other situations and things, but in multiple ways, so that no way could that weapon be used against me. So that's how deep this new contract is going to be rewritten. So it's something from the past, something that you feared, something of that nature that you heal, that then puts you in alignment with that inner child. The structures, the foundation of you, Saturn. The structures, the foundation of you. 5 is representing 2 of Saturn, so that's the change. The structure of what you thought you were going to do versus what you are going to do now, and how that spiritual contract merges with the human embodiment and self. I gotta get off here, guys. I have a mentee. It's been an honor and a privilege delivering the message. and digressing through this with you. I will take this collective and put it up on YouTube as soon as TikTok allows me to download it and YouTube allows me to upload it, because the last times YouTube is like, metaverse data is not available, we will not upload. And I'm like, so what? I can't like even put a disclaimer on the shit. So I have to leave it blank and while it's completely uploading, and then I have to go back in and put the description under it. So I will try to get that done today. All right, hopefully I'll be able to come on some other time later, and maybe not. I don't know. We'll see how the day goes. Take care of yourselves and each other, guys. All right, till we meet again. Mwah. Thank you.